Hello, welcome back. It is time for the April check-in. This is that point in the month where I've paid all my bills and we'll see how I did on keeping my goals. So as you probably know if you've watched any of my other videos, this is a channel that I use to document a low-buy project for the year, which helps me keep a tight budget, which helps me to pay as much as possible on my enormous student loans as much as possible every month. My goal is to pay 75% of my net income onto my loans. And I make a small income, so that is really challenging. And we'll get to how well I did later in the video. But I always begin by just reviewing my low-buy rules and how it went. And I didn't make my goal in April. I'm pretty disappointed in myself, and I have a story, which is different than having an excuse. There is no excuse, but I do have a story. But I did not make my goal. I did not keep all of my rules, and here we go. My first rule is to leave my money at home so that I don't succumb to any impulse buys. And this month I did not manage to do that all the time. And so several times throughout this month, I made some impulse buys. And I also had to buy a few other things for my household, and those costs are going to hit me next month when I pay my credit card bill, and I will get paid back even further into the future with those. But for now, I feel like I spent money when I shouldn't have, and it's going to take a while for the bringing it all to balance out. It's going to take a while before that happens. So money went out this month that is just going to feel like it's out for a while. But that isn't even the impulse buy stuff. The impulse buy stuff was real impulse buys, and it was a problem. Yeah. Then my second rule is to not shop online, and this month I kept that rule. I did not do any online shopping. However, I looked. I looked at different things on Amazon and other shopping sites, and I filled a few carts and thought about buying things and had a few reasons why it might be okay to do it. But instead, I ended up deleting those carts or saving everything for later, and later is, at this moment in time, later is never. But I definitely was looking online. Third rule, I use everything up before I buy any more of it. And this goes for like toiletries or food products or anything like that. And no problem, I don't think I ran out of anything this month, so I didn't replace anything. Fourth rule is that I can buy anything in my budget up to the set amount for it. And obviously with the having my money with me and succumbing to impulse buys, of course, I spent more in certain parts of my budget. Let's be honest, I spent in one category too much. And that was, I did a lot of impulse buying of snacks and little treats for myself. And here's the story. This is not an excuse. This is how the month went. For one thing, I had been really restricting myself during the season of Lent, and that felt meaningful to do. But then when Lent ended and a week ago was Pascha, and I just kind of let myself go crazy this week, and I ate like a lot of stuff that I don't normally eat. I ate ice cream a lot, and I drank quite a bit of alcohol, and I didn't feel good, which is sad because it's the season of Pascha and I'm so full of joy over that, and yet my body felt like sluggish and kind of dead actually. um, but I was celebrating and I was having treats because it's a holiday, and yet they weren't making me feel good. But I definitely went overboard celebrating. And a few things are going on that have given me sort of a little bit of just this kind of low grade, ever present anxiety in my life. And of course, the first and most obvious is the global pandemic. I I still feel quite safe in my own town and going to and from work. I'm being cautious. And I, wash my hands like crazy and I clean up as soon as I come home. And, I'm using a separate entrance than my housemate uses so that my work clothes and things are kept away from the rest of our household. Um, so I don't feel too worried, and I've established really good habits for what I need to do. But there's just this ever present awareness that the world is different right now, and we don't know how the future is necessarily going to look. Um, and so I've done some emotional eating, and I realize it, and yet I've wanted to just kind of comfort myself and zone out, and that's unusual for me. And I just kind of like, okay, that has happened, and I will be striving to improve that. Not because it's so bad to eat. Like, I don't want to get neurotic about food and weight and things like that, but just I'd rather deal with my feelings in a more productive way. I could have taken bike rides. The weather has been gorgeous here, except for a few like sudden downpours, serious April showers here. Um, but I'd rather be doing things like that, and so I will be striving to go in that direction moving forward. And one other element that I'll talk a little bit more about in a while is that I probably need to move, not from this house, but to another room in this house, and just having that kind of suddenly pop up on my radar of at some point you have to do this not terribly huge, but big shuffle that'll take a few days to get all settled out and get used to living in a new space. And hope my bed can be like oriented in the same way. I like sleeping north south. um so just kind of like, okay, like things have to change, and they will, and it'll be okay, but in the meantime I ate some ice cream, I guess. Okay, what are the rules do I try to keep? I can go to the doctor if I need to. Thankfully I didn't need to. um I can use gift cards at work for things at work. And when I say at work, I work at a grocery store, and there's a few different ways that you can either earn or are given $10 gift cards to use as just kind of an employee perk. And I can use those however I want at the store because that's the only place they're any good. I tend to buy meat and eat it at work. That's what I do. Um, maybe maybe some maybe some ice cream will happen again, but I'll have kind of like earned it separately from my budget, and that would be a good way to still have a treat but not blow the budget. And my final thing is that I can spend money that I earn from my side gigs once I'm at least 2 months ahead on rent. And because my side gigs involve cleaning other people's houses, I haven't been doing any of that, so that last rule is kind of moot right now. There is no side gig. So that's how keeping the rules went this month. My greatest challenge this month is something that I am seeing now in hindsight. The challenge for me is to keep the rules like normal, because even though there's a pandemic and things don't really feel very normal, for me, honestly, my financial situation is exactly the same as it was. And so all of these rules for my low buy should be able to just carry on like normal. So the hindsight is to just keep myself in a frame of mind where um, it is normal. For me, I mean, socially, it's completely bananas. I miss my family and friends like crazy. Um, but but the challenge is that since my financial situation is basically the same, my low buy rules need to be basically the same, and I don't have any um, I don't have any reason to change things up. And so to keep my brain just in the space that it always should be, um, that is the greatest challenge. I keep justifying little things to myself because it's different right now. Well, okay, yeah, it is different right now, but it isn't different in a way that should change my financial goals or rules. So That's the challenge. Um, in March, this month, and I did this just a couple days ago, in March, I paid $1,330 on my student loans, and that represents only 57.8% of my net income. So I definitely spent a significant amount of money on other things, and it took a chunk out of what I could have paid on my loans. And I am disappointed with that series of choices that I made. So this coming month, I will work much harder. And I think one of the things I might do is actually check in daily, not necessarily with a full video, but I'm going to film maybe like a 1 second clip checking in and saying yes or no, I kept the rules today, and just get them more on the top of my priorities as I move through the day. Yeah. For next month, for May, I haven't decided on a May video theme, and that is sort of like not having a plan is sort of planned, if that can be a thing. And that's because I want to talk about my plans for how I want to use my stimulus check and how the pandemic, while it hasn't changed my income, there are other things going on, like the fact that there's no interest accruing on my student loans. That's amazing. And so there are things that I want to talk about as far as like what happens during this time that is so different. But I haven't got my stimulus check yet. And so I want to talk about that once it's in hand. And I find it strange that I don't have it yet. Again, I always maintain low expectations of government programs. No matter how good they are, they're going to roll out and be a mess. Yeah, so I paid my taxes in February, and I used Credit Karma Tax, which I enjoy Credit Karma, and this is not an advertisement, obviously, but like I just use their tax service because it's right there and they already have all my information. Super easy. Anyway, I had to pay Idaho state taxes and I had to pay federal taxes, and used my bank account information, paid online, and I guess I still end up getting to wait for a paper check, and they sure haven't come here yet. So when I do get that check, I will probably make a video in May about all of those plans and what I think is the best thing for me to do. Yeah. And then, so actually another thing is that I might make videos about moving and getting this room packed up, and I'm moving to a room upstairs, and that's because while my life and my income have not been deeply affected, at least financially, I know some people who've had the coronavirus at this point, and it is scary in a lot of other places. But the financial impact has actually affected my landlords, and so they are moving here. And I love them. They are great people, and they visit often before this all happened. And they want to live in this room. And it's kind of their house. So they're going to live in this room. And I am moving upstairs to another bedroom, and that's fine. But I have really enjoyed this room, and I will miss it a little bit. I will have a little more space upstairs, which is nice. But in any case, they're coming here because the pandemic is affecting their financial situation significantly. And so, yeah, like that's something that they need to do, and that's fine. But it means a big change for me, and I will be moving. So some videos might be of moving. I have a couple other ideas. So May might be sort of a random month here. And then at the end of May, of course, I will check in again and hopefully have a much more encouraging video, encouraging for me and hopefully inspiring for you, that I made my goals for May. And I hope that's the case. So I feel like there was something else I wanted to tell you, but maybe not. Maybe that's it, and that's all right. I will see you in a week. I hope that you are staying healthy and safe, and I hope that your own financial goals are not being derailed too much.